Hello and welcome back to this video lecture series on a C++. So in this video lecture, we are going to learn that why we need a copy constructor. So now let's see our code. You can see this is a previous code we have used. I have declared a class ABC and these are just two constructor. One is the default one and second is the parameterized one, and I have used initializer list over here, and this is another method to show the data of A and B. And in the last implementation we declared a bunch of three objects. Fine, O1, O2 and O3. I have initialized it with the default with the parameterized constructor, and now we have used the copy constructor over here and here the copy assignment. Fine. So now we have called all these three. So now these method, if you're either calling a default assignment operator or default copy constructor, so what will happen, let's take an example of this default copy constructor. Fine. So what is going to be happen in this particular case? In this case, you have one set of things like this is your O2. So this is O2 and this is your O1. So now in the O1 you are having A and B. So here your A and B, this is your A and B. The corresponding the value of A is copied to the object B. Right? So this is known as shallow copy. So this is known as shallow copy. So now it's fine if there is some general implementation and there is no some special kind of a data. Special kind mean you can use this if there is a no pointer data, or you are not allocating the memory with a new operator. Means you are not allocating a memory at a runtime. So in that particular case you need a deep copy. So in a previous example you are copying those element over here. Let's suppose one of the element in this object. Fine. So that is of a kind of a pointer which is pointing to the some memory location. So now whenever you are going to copy this with a default constructor or default assignment operator, so the same thing would be copied over here. So now eventually you are having refer to the same address. Fine. So now what will happen in this scenario if you are going to change some value with either of this or this one? Okay, sorry, this one or this one. If I'm going to change, let's suppose this is object O2 and this is a O1. If I'm going to make some changes with this object O2, let's suppose the previous value was 2 and I updated it to the 3. When you are trying to assess the same thing over here, it will give you the 3. So that will lead to the inconsistency. So now how to remove that? So you are going to remove that using a copy constructor that you are going to define by yourself. So let's say have practically implemented that scenario. So I'm making this one data member as a pointer variable. So here pointer will take the reference. So I'm using initialize list to pass the address of a C to the B. So now, okay, the same address is going to copy in the O2, and the same address is going to be copied in a 3. So now let's declare some of the method to change the value of a B. So let's declare one method void change underscore B, and pass a parameter x, and here I'm going to update the value equal to x. Fine. So now after this, uh, I'm going to call this, you can call this with any of the objects. So I'm calling it with, sorry, o3 dot change p to, let's suppose, 0. So now let's make it still make it a comment and rerun it so that we can distinguish between the output of both of the cases. So okay, so here I should change this thing to the indirect operator so that we will have a value instead of an address, because we have changed this to the pointer. So up to here everything is fine. So now let's introduce uh, this member function before calling the show method for all the objects. So I have called this method only for okay, so you can observe over here uh, so you can observe that in our output all the outputs that are reset to 000. So now I have changed that thing only with O3, and the rest of O1, O2 and O3 all get changed. Now what should we do? So the solution is that we have to define a copy constructor. Okay, so let's declare a copy constructor over here, ABC. Okay, so taking A and C. Okay, so here, sorry, my mistake. So here we are going to declare const. You can do it without const also. This is a separate topic. We are going to discuss that thing in a detail. So actually, I am going to pass the object. Let's consider x as my object. Fine. So here, uh, what we are going to do, we are going to do your a equals to x dot a, and here for a b, just to again clarify the thing that uh, this is pointing to some location, but here I don't want this object to point to the same location. But here what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a separate let's change our vocabulary for the distinguish between the object, and let's consider this. So this was your first data and this should be your second data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new memory for this object. Fine. So I'm going to do that. So here let's declare p. Okay, p equals to new int. So now I have created a memory, created new memory for p. Now b, so in the new memory I'm going to derefer it, means I'm going to put the new value inside it. So that would be your x dot p. I'm copying that thing from the x. So this is the address and that is the value. So here I'm going to fetch the value where this x object is representing, and I'm going to put it in a v. Fine. So now these two objects, so this object is pointing to some location. So now I have generated a new memory for this object. So what I am now instructing it that whatever the value over here, just copy the value over here. So now the both of these are the separate version. So now this is having a separate version, this is having a separate version. Okay, let's now execute our program and let's see that is there any difference. Oh yes, now let's compare this our output with respect to our code. So now here, so O1 is 100 and 200. This was the value. So now when the default constructor I've called over here at the 34 line, so now what I did, so I have created a new memory. So like here I'm created own version of a copy constructor. So here the value in O2 is moved 100 and 200. So the value of A is 100 and 200. So why is it so? Because I changed the value of O3 to 0, and here even a assignment operator. So here if you want to properly implement it for the default assignment operator also, so there is a one term we are going to learn in a further lectures, that is a operator overloading. So you can deal with this also, and we will going to discuss that thing in a corresponding lecture. So that was all about your copy constructor. Let me know if you're having any doubt. Put your doubt in your description, so I will try to clarify it. And keep tuned to my video lectures and subscribe to my video lecture so that you will get an update. And thanks for watching.